Hey guys, today I want to talk about something that we've talked about before in class, but it can never hurt to go over it again, and it seems to be one of the most missed spots that we have when you're tabing and when we're just trying to work on comprehension in general. Um, and that is the basic elements of the story, and I've assigned that in IXL, so that's why I want to talk about it a little, so that you don't just go in blind and have no idea what I'm talking about. So a story develops, and there are five. These are not the only elements, but these are the five basic elements, and that is character, setting, plot, conflict, and theme. The main job of those five elements are to develop the where, when, who, what, and why of the story that you're reading. The setting is obviously the where, but also the when, which is something we don't think about sometimes. The setting not only refers to a physical location, but the time in which the action takes place. So it's the where and when. The characters of the story. I know that seems really simple, and 9 times out of 10 your character is going to be a person or an animal, and that's just the way that usually goes. But the characters actually perform the action and speak the language and the dialogue of the story, and they move the plot forward. They are the who of the story, which seems pretty obvious, right? And then the actual plot. This is the events that happen in the story. This is what's actually happening. And then there are sub-elements of plot, which we talked about at the beginning when you first met me. We did some work on that. So some of you missed that. But we will go back to that and go over that again. But it's introduction, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Those are not necessarily necessary for this first lesson, but I definitely wanted to touch on that so that you're familiar with that language, and when we do get to that, it won't be all new to you. And the plot usually begins with some sort of problem, and ends in that resolution. And the problem of the story is conflict. The plot is the what of the story, the what's happening, what's going on. And then the conflict, it really gives you the why, because that conflict is why everything else is happening. So why the characters are doing certain things, why the characters are saying certain things. The conflict may even be the reason for the setting, or that can be flipped, and the setting dictates what the conflict is. But the conflict gives you the why for every action. And it sets up a series of cause and effect events, and it's a challenge or a problem, and it's not always a negative situation, but let's be honest, that creates for a more interesting read, right? And then theme is a bit more abstract, which we've talked about. That's the underlying insight, the moral, the message of the story. And almost anything you read, there is a message, whether it's what not to do or what you should do, or right or wrong. There's generally a message. So this next lesson is going to really take you through, deciphering the setting, character evaluations, which we've talked about that as well, but a refresher. You want to look at your character's motivation, why they're doing the things they're doing. And like we said before, that conflict can often give you those answers. And we'll get into more of the elements of plot a little later. But I hope this gives you a little bit of insight into the lesson. Keep in mind when you're reading, a question I always like to ask myself is, if this were set in a different time or place, would it matter? Would the story remain the same? And sometimes it would, but more times than not, that setting lends itself to either the way the story is told or the way the characters act or react. It usually has a bigger meaning if you just look at it. Your characters, again, look at them analytically and critically. Think about their actions and why they're doing what they're doing. Because all of that falls into the plot. And then identify the conflict as soon as you can. And that way you're able to think ahead, because you're going to have foreshadowing, and you're going to have, places that you can make inferences or, decipher what's about to happen just based on the context of the literature or the text, which we've all talked about all that before as well. So good luck, guys. I miss you all so much, and I hope that you're still reading. If you're reading anything for pleasure, please, let me know. Reach out to me. My email is reading2@gjcc. No, sorry. reading2gjcc@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you guys. I'm happy to, if you know what kind of stuff you like and you want a recommendation, I'm happy to give you something to read, because just the act of reading will increase your reading comprehension. If you're writing stuff, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to read it and talk to you about that. I want us to stay the course, and our brains still working out while we're away. So I have assigned a few things in IXL. I hope that you guys are keeping up with that. We'll be assigning things almost daily. So stay safe, stay healthy, and let me know if you need anything. I love you guys, and I can't wait to see you again. Good day.